Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll be going through all the new rules for the Warcry Heart of Ghur terrain. Now I've built all the terrain for the Heart of Ghur, I thought it'd be cool to do a video doing a deep dive on the terrain rules for each piece. Overall, this terrain was really fun to build, quite tricky in places, a little bit different from anything I've built before, but really enjoyed doing that. It was taller than I expected as well, with some really nice details and an overall sinister vibe. There are some negatives though. I felt like there is certainly a lack of leaves with this, which could be an issue aesthetically once it's painted, so we'll wait and see. Does feel like a dead woods as well, rather than the woods that's alive and could eat you. And although it covers the area of the board well, it's not very dense. So I think until we play it, can't really decide. But so far, the positives really outweigh the negatives for me. In the video, I'll be going through the Warband Tome Rotten Ruin, and we'll be looking at all the individual rules for each piece of terrain. So I'll give you a good idea about what each piece can do and the different rules associated with it. Some are really simple, but some are a little bit more complex, but overall, it's going to be no problem at all to include them in the game. I'll also be talking a little bit later on in the video about how I'm going to be playing Warcry on the smaller 10mm scale using some awesome models that were sent to me by the sponsor of this video, who are Excellent Minis. And if you remember seeing the Seraphon tiny 10mm models that I painted in a previous video, these are the ones that I want to feature as one of the warbands. So a huge thank you to Excellent Minis for sponsoring this video and being a sponsor for the month as well, and for sending in a great selection of these tiny miniatures. Now they make all different sizes from 6, 10, 15 up to 28 and 32mm models, covering Warhammer 40,000, fantasy, you can use them in Dungeons and Dragons, and many other games too. I'll put a link in the description below that'll take you to their website and another one to their Facebook page, and then you can check out the full range, and it is a big range. They also do the STL files as well, and you can even buy the fluid you need to 3D print at home. I think you'll love their models, and I'm really happy with the ones they've sent me. It's so cool to have a big army on a small scale, and I can't wait to try out Warcry on a 10mm scale too. Okay, let's start with the Warband Tome Rotten Ruin, and we'll go right to the back of the book near the end to page 40, and this is where the special rules for all the terrain that came in the Heart of Ghur are kept, and you'll find them there. So they're just after the fighter cards, and these are going to give you the actual diagram, they're going to give you the keywords that go with it. So some of these are going to refer to terrain rules in the core book, but you get the special rules like with the rope bridges here, and there's quite a few rules associated with the rope bridges, whereas the Gnarlocks will just get a very small section of rules there in the little square. And then you've got all the different barricades and things like the rib cages too, so they're going to have some simple rules. So that's it, just a few pages to go through, and so we'll work our way through looking at all the terrain. You're going to need the core book as well, and great news, you can get the core rules for free now. There's a free PDF released today by the Warhammer community site, so that's awesome. Check out my video on that, that's up on the channel already. But you can see here that the terrain rules are going to have deadly terrain, unscalable, platform, obstacles, low terrain, archways, stairs and ladders, all that kind of thing. So the basic terrain rules are in here with some nice diagrams as well to give you some examples, but you will need the Heart of Ghur book to use the terrain and the special rules associated with it. Here's all the terrain built, and I've laid it all out on the board. Great board, I love the colours they've gone with, really nice autumn colours which are going to suit my Sylvaneth perfectly. You've got all the barricades, you get 2 of each of those, and then you've got the 4 main pieces with the different skulls and the little vertebrae there and the gnarlwood oaks. This is a very cool piece. I love this. This is probably my favourite bit. You got this massive skull stuck up a tree. So as the tree's grown, I guess it's taken the skull up with it. And there's a platform on the top there as well. It's got a little horn, which is going to have some rules to go with it, which we'll have a look at in a little while. So yeah, really nice piece of terrain. And this is going to be very iconic of Heart of Ghur, that's for sure. Altogether, it's about 7 inches tall. And I found overall that the terrain was a lot taller than I thought it was going to be. I still want to lift it up a little bit and put some platforms underneath it and things, some rocks to raise it a bit, but you put a model on there and you can see that really is high above the ones on the ground. So not bad at all, and very much like the one that came with the original core set with the bell tower. Now what you do is you take these little rope bridges then, and you get 2 different sizes, you get 2 of each, and then you can connect up the different platforms. And the great thing about this is you can go from different levels too, and from one to the other. The models sit on it nicely, and you can even make little squares like this and have your kind of Endor village going on if you wanted to. And again, the models will sit nicely. So really fun, and so many different ways to put this together. The terrain cards in the set that tell you how to set up the battle plan will have the Gnarlwood rune mark on them, and it's up to you whether you want to use the special rules associated with the Gnarlwood terrain. Let's have a look at those rules now, and we'll start with the Watchtower. So the Watchtower, it tells us that the trunk and large skull of the Watchtower are obstacles, but there's also a platform at the rear, so use the rules in the core book for those 2 keywords. There's also a new special rule called the Watchtower's Warhorn, and if a fighter is within 1 inch of the Watchtower's Warhorn, they can use an ability called Sound the Alarm. Now this is a triple ability, so let's have a look at it. And here it is. It tells us that a fighter can use this ability only if they are within 1 inch of the Watchtower's Warhorn, so they've got to be on that platform. For each 4+, you can pick 1 fighter from your warband that is in reserve and set them up on the battlefield within 3 inches horizontally of their deployment point as normal. These fighters can be activated this battle round as normal. So I love this. I think this is fantastic. You can bring one in really early. So if you get the chance to set up during the start of the game and you're close to this, it would be a really good idea to get up there and sound the horn and bring in some of those reserves early. So a brilliant rule to get started. Now let's have a look at the rope bridges. So quite a few rules to go through here. But first of all, rope bridges are platform. So that keyword will take us to the core book. But they've got some special rules. And so they've got objectives, treasure and tokens. And so for those and all other tokens, such as ash bomb tokens, which we'll find out more about with the horns of Hashut, they cannot be placed on rope bridges. So that's the first rule. Next, we've got cutting the ropes, and a fighter that is within 1 inch of a rope bridge but not on it can attempt to destroy it as an action. And if they do so, they'll roll 3 dice and add 1 to the score of each roll if the fighter is a monster or has any melee weapons with a strength characteristic of 5 or greater. I'm thinking untamed beasts here as their strength's gone up. So if 1 roll scores a 6+, the rope bridge is damaged. If 2 or more rolls score 6+, the rope bridge is destroyed. The first time a rope bridge is damaged is weakened. Now this has no immediate effect, but players should be wary of sending their fighters across it from that point on, because the second time a rope bridge is damaged, then it will be destroyed. And when it's destroyed, every fighter that has the centre of their base on that rope bridge falls one after the other in an order chosen by the player whose turn is taking place. When a fighter falls, if there is nowhere vertically lower that they can be placed, they are taken down. Otherwise, when a fighter falls in this manner, roll 3 dice for impact damage instead of 1. Once each fighter on the rope bridge has fallen, the rope bridge is then removed. So that's going to be really fun to try and cut those bridges down, and especially if you're trying to take a shortcut with them and you're going to risk going across when they're weakened, definitely that's a good time to try and take them out and deal the damage for the second time. So really fun rule. There's also another little bit at the bottom there saying alternative terrain rules. So if you're setting up in a different way and you find that these ladders are positioned so they're too steep, or sorry, the rope bridges are too steep to put your miniature on, you can just treat them as ladders. So that's another good option there. Longest of the rules. Now let's have a look at the Gnarlocks, and they've only got one very small paragraph that tells us the trunk is an obstacle and the wooden platform is a platform. So nice and easy. And then you've got the upper branches, which are unscalable. So these are really more for show, these branches, and yeah, they're not going to serve any actual purpose as far as the rules are concerned, although I would like to stick a Corvus Cabal up there for sure. Next up, we've got the rib platform, and the trunk of the Gnarlock again is an obstacle, and so is the skull and the struts. The wooden platform is a platform, the rib cage is deadly terrain and an obstacle, and then the upper branches are again unscalable, and all those rules are in the core book. That covers the big pieces of terrain, but now let's have a look at all the scatter terrain. And there's quite a few barricades and things included here, and this really helps to fill up the space on the battlefield. Now altogether you're going to get 5 pieces, really great pieces, lots of nice detail, and you're going to get 2 of each. So you've got plenty to dot around, and this really does help. So I'm really glad they included lots of these. Height-wise, they're going to work and serve different purposes. Some are up to 2 inches, some are less than an inch. And you can see you can get a little bit of cover perhaps behind them. And some of them you can climb over easily and things like that. And so some are going to be deadly though, so you've got to watch out for those sharp rib cages when you're doing battle. Let's have a look at the rib cages first, and we'll check out the rules for those. And so that's on page 44. And simply the rib cages are treated as deadly terrain and obstacles, so nice and easy, and you don't want to be falling on those if the rope bridge is cut. The remaining 4 pieces of terrain all come under the same rules. So let's have a look at the terrain first, and then we'll check out the rules. And some really nice details on these, bringing in that down StarCraft. So yeah, I really like what they've done here. Loads of brilliant detail, not too many normal skeletons, lots of beasts and animals. But if you can see here, there's a couple of holes, and there is a human skeleton that you would put there. Now I haven't glued that on because I'm going to keep that separate, and I'm going to keep the human skeletons off this terrain and just keep it so I can use it in other games too. You'll find the rules for all 4 of these pieces on page 45, and they're going to be classed as ruins, palisade and shattered post. The ruins, palisade and shattered post are all obstacles. Parts less than 1 inch high vertically are classed as low terrain, so they're going to be found in the core book. There's also a little designer's note here, and it says the fastest way for a fighter to scale an obstacle such as a ruin is to climb one side and then jump down from the top, so you don't have to worry about climbing down vertically. You can make use of your jump. That's covered all the rules, so now I'll shuffle up the card deck here, and I'll just pick one at random and then set it up on the tabletop so you can see an official setup of the terrain and how it looks. So I'll just fan them out, pick one at random, and then I'll put that together, and then you'll see what this looks like when it's translated to the tabletop. And here it is all set up now. So we've got our Gnarlocks, we've got the platforms there, we've got our rope bridges, we've got this terrain piece here that's not even included actually, so that's not included in this particular one, so you wouldn't be able to sound the horn and call in reinforcements. You've got all your rib cages, palisades, ruins, shattered posts and all that stuff dotted around. And so although it's not dense with terrain here, there's certainly lots of action to be had on these rope bridges, so you can really use the lot of height from the terrain moving across the table. More height than I thought we'd see actually. Okay, now let's have a look at the Warcry on the small scale that I've got planned to do real soon. So I've got an Iron Jaws here, and this model's perfect as a scaled down version to proxy for it. And here's a mini battlefield, 1/4 the size of the regular Warcry board, and I've just quartered it. So yeah, it's just 1/4 of the board. And I'll get one of the big Gnarlocks in, just so you can have a look at it compared. And this is going to be way too big to use at this tiny scale, but these little train track trees are perfect. They're going to work really nicely, and I think this is a really good scale to work with. I think it's going to be great fun. I've got these foam hills that I made before, and these are going to translate to about the height of the terrain from the original core set, so no reason not to climb and jump down from these bits. The trees are going to work out great as well, just to give a little bit of cover maybe, and just to move around. But here's the Warband I'm going to build for destruction, and so this is going to be the Iron Jaws. So I've got a few models here, I've got 7 altogether, so plenty to be getting on with, and I'll just get these painted up ready for when we do the little mini battle. And then I've got a Wargog Prophet here that I want to mix in too. Then I've got the 10mm Seraphon, and these are all painted, and I did these in a previous video, and these are all sent in by Excellent Minis, all these tiny ones, so these are going to be brilliant. And I've got a really nice character as well. I think we can use this one as the boss for the Warband. That's going to be brilliant, so I'll get this one painted, and then we'll have a real nice selection of Seraphon and Iron Jaws to play with. I thought it might be fun to make some little mini ruins too, so I've got these Jenga style blocks, these little wooden blocks, so I'm going to do something with those, and they're just the right height, so I think they're going to work out nicely. You put them 2, 3 high, you can make little L sections, so that would be pretty good. And then you can move your models up and down, jump off it, and that's going to work nicely. And then for little bridges and things, I'll just get some coffee stirrers. And one would be wide enough for get the centre of the base on, but probably it's going to be quite fiddly playing on this smaller scale, so I'll probably go for like 2 wide, snap them off and make them look like broken up wooden planks. But what I think would be really fun to do is play up against this 2-headed Chaos Dragon. So I might just do a Seraphon versus a monster battle just to show it in action. And the rules for the allies, thralls and monsters are included in the new core book too. So we've got all the monster abilities. I think that'd be a real good use of it. I may even play Break Its Spirit, which could be a perfect setup and little mini quests to play with these models. So another big thank you to Excellent Minis for sending in these tiny miniatures and giving me the opportunity to share them with you and just show you something a little bit different and fun here on the channel. I hope you check them out, and I'll put the link to their website down in the description and the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it helpful. I've got to say I'm really impressed with these new rules for the Warcry Heart of Ghur. It's going to be great fun trying out this terrain on the tabletop and seeing what it's like to cut the rope bridges and things like that. So looking forward to giving it a go. I'm also looking forward to trying out Warcry on that small scale, so look out for that video coming soon over the next couple of weeks. You can find loads of more content on my channel for Warcry Heart of Ghur, the unboxing video, looking at the books, and soon I'll be doing deep dives for each of the 2 warbands included too. Thanks again for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and don't forget to hit that notification bell too to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters who make these daily videos possible, and if you're interested in joining the community, it'd be awesome to see you there, and I'll put a link for that in the description down below.